What is up, fight fans? Welcome back to the Comments from the Peanut Gallery podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Kurtz. I'm sitting here with a special guest that is here to us today by popular demand. So thank you all of you who follow along and who engaged and said that, you know what, before he has his fight, his pro debut for LFA 133 on June 3rd, you have to have the grim one, Luis Gurule, here in studio. Luis, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good, brother. Doing good. Ready to go.
Man, I'm so happy to have you here in studio and chatting with us. I mean, because like I say, I wanted to have it done, and I'm so glad that the people also wanted to see it. So thank you for taking the time.
Oh, no problem. I love being here.
Yeah, Luis, so just like that, we kind of mentioned a little bit of the details there, but in terms of, you know, like where can people watch the fight, where can people buy tickets, so on and so forth?
Yeah, put it out on my Instagram. If you follow me, Gurule_MMA. I got my link there for tickets. Going to be at the University of Denver, Magness Arena. You can watch it on UFC Fight Pass, June 3rd.
Yep, so that's going to be a star-studded card as far as all the top talent, really and truly, up and down the Front Range here in Colorado. LFA never has a lackluster show. It's one of the top productions out there outside of the UFC. So make sure that you guys are tuning in and make sure that you pick up those tickets and use those commission codes, because these guys do get paid off of that, and that does help them in terms of the growth and the progression of their career there. Now, Luis, this is your pro debut, but you're not exactly the regular, you know, 0-0 like guy that's just kind of barely teetering into the pro ranks. Like, yeah, I think it's fair to say, especially after watching, if you've seen any of Luis's fights. I mean, don't blink because they're not a whole lot to watch in them, but
yeah, not a lot of time in that cage yet.
Now, that being said, though, like, what are your thoughts, being that, you know, you haven't had a ton of time in the cage so far, but you've also had issues with people saying yes because you're such a menacing threat when you get locked in?
Yeah, I mean, I think people talk about cage time a lot, and they really have a lot of importance on it. But, like, in my case, I've had 2 amateur fights, and both have been, like, minute and a half long. And I know it's going to be difficult, you know, gaining cage time if, you know, all these next fights, they're pro fights. These fights count. They matter. So I guess my mentality when I'm thinking about that is that I make every day in practice count. When coach says something, I'm fucking listening. I'm practicing that shit all week. I'm dreaming about it. I'm thinking about it. Think about it falling asleep. I'm twitching, trying to hit a double leg. You know, the girlfriend's getting mad because I'm twitching in my sleep. I'm like, oh, defend this double leg, you know. But I think a lot of it's just focus. Like my word of the year was honed, just to sharpen a blade, right? And yeah, that's how I think about it every day, is I'm sharpening myself every day. And like Alex Hernandez, he said something that really resonated with me during one of his talks. And he was like, you know, every moment matters, you know, every hour. Like, people say, yeah, the day matters, and they forget about the little moments in that day. Like, dude, I'm trying to stay razor sharp. I'm trying to catch up to Brandon. I want to be on the same, you know, cards as him. And, you know, I want to be in the UFC. I want to make my name out there. So I don't think cage time matters as much when you're focused and that dialed in, and you're making those cage time you get in practice matter.
Certainly. And I think that you spoke to it, but without directly saying it. You're very disciplined. You're very tunnel vision in terms of when that task or when that goal is in front of you, it's a by any means necessary type of situation. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it's crazy because I've had problems with, I think I've had problems with discipline in the past where, like, other people might be looking in, they're like, dude, you're fine. And I'm like, I didn't wake up at 6 o'clock and go run today. I bet that other guy did. And, like, you know, that's the kind of thoughts that go into my head, and that's, like, what kind of keeps driving me to be better, is because I always got that little voice inside my head that's like, you know, dude, I bet someone else is out there working, so you better get out there and work too. Like, I don't know. I feel like I don't really deserve to take someone else's dream in that cage if I didn't work, you know, as hard as I possibly could for it and make it worth it.
Where does that come from? Like, where does that work ethic, where does that spirit of the dog truly come from for you, Luis Gurule?
You know, man, it's hard to say. There's been so many people, and I've had so many coaches in my life that have kind of just helped me see that path going forward. But probably the first one, you know, would be my dad. he worked hard as fuck like my whole life, but it's the littlest things that can like really affect you in life when you're a kid like that. But I remember just working on the car with my dad, and he's like, "Hey, take off this bolt." I'm like, "I can't fucking take that bolt off. It's rusted shut." He's like, "Just try." And I'm like, "Ah," and I'm little and I can't. And he's like, I can't take it off. And he's like, "Well, I think," he's like, "another man put it there. You can take it off." And I don't know, something about hours I probably stayed at that fucking bolt, and I finally beat it, got it free, and I was like, "Oh, shit, you're right." And I don't know, it's like that little seed was planted. And then, I've had other coaches say various things, and, I had a coach, Todd Porter at Mines, and he said something that, it was just be the dog. That's literally all he said to me. He's like, "Yeah, dog, if dog's out there, he's starving. He's not going to question, what happened yesterday. He's not thinking about what's happening tomorrow. He's, he wants that meal. He wants to live. He wants to survive. He's going to do whatever he needs to do to accomplish that goal." And I was like, God, that was hard, Todd. Now I just want to go run a marathon and I want to go fight someone. But, yeah, Porter said that. And, ever since then, it's just like, all right, we got to be the dog. We can do it.
Do you think that those elements of the formation of your mindset paired along with just the nature of being a wrestler, that you were a high-level wrestler coming out of high school, you went and wrestled in college, you had just these years and years worth of reps within a very grueling and strenuous sport that just requires a certain level of work ethic and output just to be able to maintain, no less thrive, just to maintain. Do you think that was kind of exacerbated by that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Just starting out as a young kid wrestling, like, that's probably one of the hardest sports you can do. Like, just discipline-wise, cutting weight, fucking running all the time, drilling, you're trying to catch up. And, I started late comparatively to, like, a lot of people. I started when I was a freshman in high school. So, typically the better guys in high school are the guys who did it, when they're little. They kind of have a head start going into it. God, I sucked. I think my mom still has it in like a tub somewhere. I found an old newspaper, like they had a little article about the team, and it's like, yeah, Luis Gurule started out his year like 0-9, 0-10 or something, and he won this tournament or something. I was like, oh shit, God. But yeah, but having supportive coaches like that, they're like, they see that you have something in you. They're able to bring it out like that. Man, I can't thank like Frank and Nietzsche enough, my high school wrestling coaches, because they really like helped form that seed, helped form that basis for like who I am today. It helped a lot.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think you see it just throughout. It's a common theme for fighters or just within the combat sports world in general, that some of the most calloused and hardened minds in what we do come from having that wrestling background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. It's just such a grind wrestling is, and it's constantly like, everyone is like really concerned about, me cutting weight or trying to take these fights back to back that unfortunately didn't happen, but they're like, "Oh no, the weight cut, blah, blah, blah." I was like, bro, we cut weight every week for wrestling, and I'm having, matches and tournaments, and sometimes you're making weight back to back. So like when you're in that mindset, like little things like that you're like, what? I get to weigh in the day before and go fight this guy? I can do that next week. Shoot, if I don't take any damage, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that the same night if I have to, Yeah. So, yeah, that definitely helps. Just that mental grind. Yeah, there's a lot of discipline in it.
Well, I mean, if we look at it, a few years back before maybe the internet and the database of what it is with combat sports is, along with just, the advancement of the sport as a whole, you turn the clock back, I don't want to necessarily say 10, but for sure like 15 to 20 years. That's what all those old school wrestlers and those grinders would do back in the day. You have stories from guys like Pat Miletich, where he had his crew of, Miletich Fight Systems guys, to where they would, and that was filled with a bunch of wrestlers. Your guys like your Matt Hugheses of the world to Jens Pulvers, whoever. They would travel around and like, hey, Friday night, they've got fights here. Well, you know what? They might not be able, they would have some sort of like allowance for, like a satellite weigh-in or something like that. Go weigh in the next day, go, on some other fight, or some other state. Or then, no less, maybe not back-to-back nights, but for sure, multiple weekends consecutively. And then you even have, to this day, you have guys like, and he hasn't fought in a little while now, but through that, he maintained that throughout his career with someone like a Jeremy Horn, who Jeremy Horn has, I think 120 plus professional fights, to where he just like, hey man, I can go around, like once his UFC career and once the tops of the tops were done, he could still go around every couple of weeks and go fight at these local to mid-level regional shows, make a couple of grand a pop, especially between his sponsors, ticket sales, all of that, and never have to worry about quote unquote real work.
Yeah. It's just that wrestling mindset. You're like, man, you're raised in that, basically, from a young age to be in that mindset of just shit ain't shit. Just go out there, get it done,
So the very first fight that you had was LFA 116 up there in Vail, and you had a message that was relayed to you from Coach Mark, who Coach Mark was, he was gone cornering Jonathan Martinez in the UFC that weekend, so he wasn't able to be there for that fight. But he gave you a real specific message before the fight, a message to which, folks, Luis took to heart. And it came out.
Yeah.
Can you let him know?
Yeah, stamp that shit on his chest. Coach was like on some real David Goggins shit that day. And he's on the video call, the FaceTime, and he's like, I want you to go out there. I need you guys to take their souls. We're going to break them. We're going to stamp that X on their chest, and we're going to show them how it's done. And, it's my first fight. I'm out there, my hands are shaking in the back, and I don't know if it's because I'm nervous, if I'm scared, if I'm just ready to go. Jordan's not saying anything about it. He's being nice, and my hands are up.
JT, Jordan not this.
We get out there, and I end up taking him down, and I'm just ground and pounding him, and I'm going to take your soul, motherfucker. I'm going to take your soul. You're broken. I'm fucking breaking you. You're done. And just screaming at him, and just don't even know where it came from. And after the fight, Rafa and Jordan are just looking at me with like the biggest eyes, like, holy shit, what the hell? And like Jordan like even told me after the fight, he's like, man, I thought you were just like this super chill, like, dude, you just like to come in and work hard, and he's like looking at me, man, it was cool seeing your crazy side come out though. And I was like, yeah, man, and that happened the last fight I had too. Or, I don't know, something about it. You're just over him, breaking him. I was like, you're done. You're fucking done. Just quit. You don't want to be in here with me. And knocked him out, woke him back up with an elbow, and you got to throw elbows in that last fight though, being that it was in Nebraska. You got to have a little taste of those full rules. Yeah, that was awesome. Elbows were fun. Hope I didn't get hit by one. I'm sure it'd be not as fun. yeah, certainly. But I mean, speaking to kind of JT's reaction to that, him being such a barbarian, a savage the way that he is, I'm sure that to a certain extent that was like it's not that he didn't already have it, but that was an extra like respect gaining moment. I feel like for someone like him that literally is like the lick the blood off of his hands type of guy. Yeah, he had the biggest smile all night just thinking about that. He then, just after everybody's in the back and everything, Jordan was just so happy. He's like, he's just screaming at him, I want to take his soul. He's like, this dude's fucking nuts. I was right on the outside of the cage shooting photography right there. And I could just hear you scream. Like, I couldn't necessarily tell everything that you were saying, but I could literally see that you're over the top of another grown man who signed a contract to get in there and fight you, and you're screaming at him over the top of him, just raining down thunderous punishment. And I'm like, that does not, like, I've grappled with you, and that's not fun. Much less having to go in there and then let you add in all of that slick shit with grappling plus throwing down the strikes. I want no part of that. Folks, the first jiu-jitsu tournament that me and Luis did together, this man gets DQ'd in the very first match for slamming a dude. But, I mean, sometimes jiu-jitsu has some pussy-ass rules. Controversial slam. Controversial, I didn't think I did it. But you slammed the fuck out of him. He ended up being an armbar, and I just was shaking him off, and his head kind of tapped the mat, I mean, to be fair. And then the next tournament after that, he almost destroyed the entire production unit, the scoring table, everything that was right there because he blast doubled the shit out of this kid right off of the mat. Like I say, whatever it is, watching you compete plain and simple, it's fun. Yeah.
It's fun.
It's so freeing, you know. I mean, it's funny because outside the mat, I don't like, you know, I'll talk shit to like guys in here and stuff, but you know, if I see my opponent, I'm not gonna, you know, be yelling in his face, screaming at him, you know. That's like I couldn't be Harris out there,
I was
you
about
know.
to say you're not doing the Harris.
Yeah, I can't do the Harris. I was like so happy when Harris was with us at LFA 116 because I would tell him it's like you're saying everything I want to say, but I don't like doing it. So
Yeah.
it's just cool having Harris there screaming for all of us. But yeah, you know, something that happens like once you lock the cage in, it's freeing. You know, it's me or you, and I'm gonna make it as hard for you as I possibly can. So, you know, if I can mentally beat you and physically beat you, it's done.
I think that mental aspect is so huge on your side, just because, like I say, not too many people are willing to go to the dark place, and not just willing to go to the dark place, but willing to become friends with and embrace it. And not just in turn, like embracing it is then another thing, but then to thrive in that sort of darkness is a whole different monster. And I think that's something that you can do well, and that's something that sets you apart from a lot of your peers, especially at this stage of your career.
Yeah, I think you have to be able to flip the switch because, you know, I don't know, I don't think it's something you can keep, you know, 24/7. It's kind of exhausting to be in that mindset. But if you're able to just flash it and then go, lock down, nothing happens, or, you know, nothing is in your mind but the fight, nothing but the obstacle in front of you. And it's kill or be killed, you know. It's him against you, and you just forget everything, let everything go. I don't know, something about that. It's incredibly freeing, and you know, you fall back on your technique, fall back on your coaches. You know, it's not like you're going out there like, you know, I see red, bro. Like I just got out there, I see red. But if you can go out there cold calculating your fucking killer, like I don't know, that is yeah. I don't know where I got that from. I think.
You're so ruthlessly violent, it almost looks like you're seeing red, but you're controlled in the process of what you're doing.
I remember the whole fight, you know. I think a big part of it's, again, coming back full circle to wrestling. When I first started, you know, real emotional if I lost, or, you know, real emotional if I won. Or I'd, you know, just disappointed. Just all over the fucking place. And finally my coaches were like, bro, like, you cannot show emotion out there like that. You know, it gives him power. Like if you're out there and you see him exhausted and his hands are on his knees and his body language is telling you you're tired, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, I'm going to go out there and beat the shit out of him even more. I'm going to break him.
Yeah.
They're like, exactly. And that's what you're giving him. So, you know, like I just had that same mindset all throughout wrestling, and, you know, very stoic. Like I never want to give you anything. And I brought that to fighting. I think it's helped immensely because, like, you know, even guys in here, I'll spar them and be like, oh, man, you hit me with that body shot. That almost dropped me. That was crazy. Like, what? You're like, you were punching me the whole time. You're like, you didn't give me a chance. Like, I didn't know that. And I was like, well, doing my job then, because, you know, I just don't want to give him anything in that cage. Like, I don't want to give you a fucking inch. And if I do, like, you're going to bleed for it. You're going to cry for it. It's not going to be a good time for you, you know?
Oh, yeah, certainly. I mean, that's... the stoicism alone, I feel like, does something. Like, even if it's just the mental warfare aspect of it, to say, like, man, I just hit this motherfucker with the hardest thing that I could have thrown there, and he just looks stone-faced, like nothing happened. Or, you know, like, I just tried to, you know, I just shot in with my best takedown entry, and he was able to shed me off like nothing. He was able to get back to his feet, and we're back to 50-50, like, and he just has this same cold, killer look on his face. His emotion hasn't changed. The expression hasn't changed. He's just sitting in there in the pocket and putting something back in my face again.
Cookies, shut the fuck up. Stop it. No, you're fine. I've done this before. Stop it. No, bad dog. Bad dog. Bad boy. Bad boy. Down. Down.
No, you're good.
No. No. Down.
Fucker. Cool.
All right.
So, let's let's see. I lost my train of thought right there with that.
Me too. Oh, stoicism.
Yeah, the stoicism.
Yeah,
so stoicism. So when you have that kind of cold look in that way, I just, like I say, I feel like it's something that if I'm on the other side, or at least like from my experience and in training, like, if I go for something, I feel like I went all out and it didn't work. It's not always going to work on the first time, but if I make a couple of attempts and I still haven't found a shred of success yet, and that person is still looking at me like, yeah, like, is that what you got? Like, is that it? Like, come on. It starts to get a little bit discouraging to a certain extent.
fucking love that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it works both ways. It's mental warfare. It's hurting you, and it's helping me, because if I stay in that mindset and I just fought off your best attempt and I shook it off, what else are you gonna do to me?
Yeah.
That was your best thing you got. I'm gonna destroy you the rest of the round. Jiu-jitsu, wrestling, fighting. Like, yeah, I think it's like one of the best lessons I learned from wrestling overall, is just having that mindset all the time. And sometimes I catch myself like, I gotta go back to it. I'm like showing too much, like even when you get hit something, guys are like accepting of it. Like when they're, you got me. Like I'll catch myself doing that sometimes. Like, I know it's a fun round, and we're like, but sometimes it's like, no, I don't want to show you anything. Like, I'm getting ready for this fight. You hit me with that. I was like,
Yeah.
Crack back as fast as I can. I don't want to give you anything in there, even if it's mentally.
That's fair. That's fair. One thing that was brought up in your last fight, your very first fight, and it was a debut fight, like I say, everyone in the room during the shakeout just watched. Like, everyone was there just watching you. Like I say, like, we're talking guys all the way up through the main event that were there in our locker room. And people were like, man, like, this dude, like, he's something different. Because then immediately, like, there was a shift in the music. There was a change in tone completely across the board. One of the last of our other amateurs at the time had on I think it was some sort of hip hop or something. Then Luis just in stride, like as he's getting his getting everything ready to start his rounds of the shakeout, goes, "Whose music is this?" They said, "It's mine." Change that shit. And immediately it changes, and then it's to some crazy ass metal that's at just a super intense pace.
I think we just put it on some thrash, some Toxic Holocaust or something.
I'm pretty sure that it was exactly something along those lines. And then even Jacoby Jones, who will also be on this card with you, he said, man, who want to fuck with a motherfucker who has corpses tattooed all over his body?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, man, I gotta get in that mindset, like, especially on the day before or something like that. Like, dude, I just want to be cold. I want to be a killer. I want to be in that mindset. I want to be on that grind. And, I can't listen to soft shit when I'm in there,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I know some guys, they'll just be like, yeah, it's hard. But no, I want to listen to some dude fucking growling, fucking screaming, like, I will take your soul. Yeah, dude, exactly. I just, I'm getting hyped just thinking about it right now, you know. And it's also like, every day before practice when we're driving up, I go through my drive, I put on, something like that, and just training my body, I'm like, all right, we hear this, we know it's time. We hear this, we know it's time. And I'm getting closer and closer and closer. So it's like a build up. So it's more mental too. So
yeah, I don't know. Like as soon as that entire dynamic shifted that day, I was like, this is, that's a sign of respect by your peers though too.
Yeah.
Because if you're the last amateur that's getting the opportunity to warm up, then, a lot of times guys are going to go on about their business. Or they're going to go on about doing what they're doing because it's also their fight day, and they've got to kind of figure their shit out. It's a selfish day in that regard. But when you have those people, even like your Dustin Jacobys and whatnot of the world that are standing or staying around to watch you do your warm up, what does that make you feel like? Do you feel like a sense of validation in the work that you put in, that you're getting some recognition from your peers?
Yeah,
or do you just not even think about it?
Like you said, I didn't even notice that everyone stopped, but hearing that, I guess it's less validation for me because I know how hard I work, and, You know, I know what I do, but it's cool seeing that respect. The respect is bigger to me than like the validation. Because everyone in here is fucking good, you know? And it was cool because I really liked that Jacoby's on the team because he wrestled at the same time I did, so I knew of him. But, yeah, coming in here, I didn't know what to expect. So, you know, those were the people that I looked up to like, all right, how do I do this? Like, how are we training here? Like, what's the vibe here? What's the culture like? And so then I start watching Jacoby, and I watch Harris, and I watch Brandon Roybal, and I'll watch, you know, Dustin, and see how they train and see what their work ethic's like. So seeing those people who have that similar work ethic and mindset in there, and they've been in this longer than I have, but gaining their respect is like, it's pretty cool. It's pretty huge, especially just, you know, the respect of, like, I haven't been doing this for that long. Been doing it for actual MMA training a year, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah, coming right up on that mark.
Yeah, so, you know, just playing catch up, but it's always looking at the best guys and like, all right, what are you doing? Like,
yeah,
how do I do that? I'll see Jacoby running on his Instagram or something. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go for a run now too. You know, like this, I'm figuring out my own thing, but at the same time, I'm still just gaining little bits and pieces from everyone around me. And I think it's helped me grow like super fast.
Hell yeah, absolutely, man. Now, Luis, we've covered a lot. We've talked about some thoughts on the matchup, mindset, a little bit of your background there. Real quick, as we tie some things up, is there any sponsors, training partners, coaches, management, anybody that you want to throw a shout out to?
Yeah, one of my really close friends, Robert Earl, actually sponsored me for this fight, and so I was really pumped about that. And that dude's believed in me since day one. Like, I tell him, hey, man, I want to be national champ. He's like, bro, out of anyone I know, you're going to do it. And, you know, I had some injuries, didn't do it. Now I'm fighting. And he's like, bro, you're going to do it. Like, I know the work you put in. So, fuck, man, really got to give a big shout out to him.
Yeah, goosebumps. Love you, Robert.
Yeah, the dude's fucking awesome. And, dude, Clay's been really awesome, too, as a training partner. Clay Matza is just today, he's like, I put in some good work. I drilled. I'm going to watch this. He comes up, runs up, and grabs me. He's like, yo, last 3 rounds, we're going to drill this, this, and this. I'm like, oh, shit. All right. Thanks, bro. Yep. So, you know, he's one of the best partners I have. And Roy Ball is fucking great rolling with him. Throws me about 50 submissions in 3 minutes, and I'm just fucking fighting to survive and getting out. And it's cool because, like, you know, training with partners like all of this and you know, all the people we have, it's like, if I survived against them, if I did this against them, you know, in practice, what's the rest of the world gonna do?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we see it. You know, I know sometimes it's hard for you to recognize some of the growth or the advancements within your development when it's you every single day that's doing it. Mm-hmm. But I'm in the fortunate position from my vantage point to where I've seen where you started as just a wrestler coming in and doing open class sparring situations to now being fluid on the feet, having head movement, understanding that getting off the center line is an important principle. Just the progression it's been fun to watch for you. It's been fun to see it from the very beginning, really and truly. So, you know, I mean, I couldn't be more thrilled to be sitting there to watch your debut from cage side once again this next week. I got to see the amateur debut from that post, and I get to see the pro debut from that post. You know, there's quite a few fighters now at this point that I've gotten to see that entire arc and projection. Dan Argueta being one of them who fought on that last card with him. Did. I shot his very first fight with the LFA. That's a great, I'm forever grateful for the LFA and the opportunities that they've given for me too. Yeah. Is you getting to make those sort of connections that, you know, you never know who's going to blossom, who's going to grow and be someone big and something special. But sometimes you get a glimpse of someone in those early stages and you're like, oh yeah, that dude's going to be something. And just one last time, Luis, where can people follow you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Gurule_MMA. So follow me and watch out because I'll post that win next week.
Absolutely. There you have it right there, folks. Make sure that you tune in on June 3rd. That is next Friday night from the Magness Arena on the DU campus. Or I'm not sure exactly where you're going to be placed on the card. If he's on the prelims, it's going to be on Facebook for that stream. And if you're interested in the main card, that's going to be on UFC Fight Pass. I'm Jordan Kurtz with the Comments from the Peanut Gallery podcast, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. That helps us continue to produce this original MMA content and bring it for you every single week. Tune in to the MMA Plug presented by DenverSportsBetting.com on 98.1 FM, Mile High Sports Radio on Wednesday nights from 6 to 7 p.m.
or live stream at DenverSportsBetting.com/radio.